Hi, welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we will continue and we will write some more HTML markup for home section. In last lecture, we finished working with full screen background video and an overlay on top of it. In this lecture, I am going to add content for the home section. I mean the headings, paragraph and button on top of this full screen video. I am creating some space inside my index.html file so we can only see the home section code. Okay, let us start writing HTML markup for adding content to the home section. Under the markup of this overlay div, I'll write HTML markup for home content. I'm going to write comment for home content. Okay, I'm going to put a div with its opening and closing tags, and I'm going to assign an ID to this div, and the ID value is home-content. We will write all of our HTML markup related to home content inside this div. Inside this div, I'm going to add another div, and the ID value for this inner div is home-content-inner. This will be inner wrapper for home content, or you can think this is parent div and this is its child div. Inside this inner div, I'm going to add 3 elements, and these 3 elements are headings, a paragraph and a button. First, I'm going to add headings, and for headings, I'm going to create a separate div, and I'm going to assign an ID to this div, and the ID value is home-heading. And we will add our headings inside this div. Basically, there are 2 separate headings. This is the first heading and this is the second heading. I'm going to add first heading, and I'll put h1 element with its opening and closing tags. The h1 element displays HTML heading, and I'm going to assign an ID to this h1 element. And the ID value is home-heading-1, and the text for this heading is just digital. And now we have our first heading on top of this full screen background video. After this text, I am going to put a break, and for break I'm going to use HTML break element, and this break tag inserts a single line break. As you can see that it just inserted a single line break. Below this heading, I am going to put second heading. And the ID for this second heading is home-heading-2. And the text for this second heading is creative agency. And I'm going to wrap this agency word in span. This span tag will help us to style this agency word easily, because we will style this agency word differently. Okay, now we have these headings on top of this video. I'm just removing the extra spaces. Beneath these headings, we need to write HTML markup for paragraph. I'm going to add div for paragraph, and I'm going to assign an ID to this div, and the ID value is home-text. Simple. Inside this div, I'm going to put p element. P element is for paragraph, and I'm going to add some dummy text. To add dummy text, I'm going to use emit extension. This is the extension which I installed in the beginning of this course, and this emit extension will help us to generate some dummy text. And to generate dummy text using emit, you simply write lorem, and after that you press tab, and it just added dummy text for me. I will delete some. Okay, it is enough. Okay, now we have a paragraph for home section. Under this paragraph, we have to put the button element. And for button element, I'm going to add separate div. And the ID value for this div is home-btn. Inside this div, I'm going to define HTML markup for button element. For button, I'm going to use HTML anchor element. I'm going to write HTML anchor element with its opening and closing tags. The HTML anchor element defines a hyperlink. And the text for this hyperlink is start now. And now we have this link for home section. There are a few attributes we need to define for this anchor element. First, I'm going to define href attribute, and the value for this href attribute is #about. This is hyperlink reference, which means it will take user to the about section, which we will create in coming sections. Next, I'm going to define the title attribute, and the value for title attribute is also start now. And now we have a title for this hyperlink. Next, I'm going to assign some button classes to this anchor element. I'm going to add class attribute. And the very first class I want to assign is from Bootstrap framework. I'll open the Bootstrap documentation for buttons. Navigate to CSS page of Bootstrap website, and on this page you can find buttons. These are the buttons from Bootstrap. And you can see the Bootstrap classes for button. Right now I just need this btn class. I'll go ahead and I'll add this btn class to my anchor element. So this is Bootstrap button class, and I'm going to define the role for this anchor element, and the role is button. So I'm going to define the role for this anchor element, and the role is button. I'm just increasing the size of my code editor so we can see the HTML markup exactly. Okay, we just added button class from Bootstrap to this anchor element. And you can see this anchor element just started behaving like a button. Okay. Beside this Bootstrap class, I have to add two more classes, which will be our custom CSS classes. The first custom class I have to add is btn-general. We will create this class inside style.css, and this class will take care of general CSS for all the buttons on Solo website. And the second custom class I am going to add is btn-home, and this will take care for only home button, this one. So this btn class is from Bootstrap, and these two classes are custom classes which we will create inside style.css. Okay, now we have a button on home section. Let me resize the code editor again. I don't like it like this way. Okay, I think it is fine. Okay, I'll remove the extra spaces. Okay, now we have this content for home section. Next, I want this content to be in the center of home section, and I have this inner div, and I'm going to add text center class from Bootstrap. I'm going to write class attribute, and the value is text-center. And did you see it just centered align this content for home section? This is Bootstrap class which helps to center align text. Let me show you. You can visit this URL for Bootstrap, and on this web page you can find the Bootstrap alignment classes. This is text left class, This is text center class. This is text right class. This is text justify class, and this is text no wrap class. And we just use text hyphen center class for center alignment. One last element we need to add for home section is this angle down arrow. I'm going to write HTML markup for angle down arrow outside of this home content div. I'm going to write comment for arrow down, and the comment is arrow down. The arrow down we are about to add is just a link, so I'm going to put anchor element with its opening and closing tags, and I'm going to define the href attribute for this anchor element, and the value for this href attribute is hash about. So when user clicks on this link, user will be taken to the about section, and I'm going to assign an ID to this anchor element. The ID is arrow hyphen down, and we are going to add font awesome icon inside this link, and the font awesome icon we are going to use for this link is this angle down, and we just need to put the I element with required classes, and the classes are fa and fa hyphen angle hyphen down. Let us add this angle down icon inside this link. I'm going to add I element with its opening and closing tags, and after that I'm going to add class attribute, and I'm going to add font awesome class. fa means font awesome, and after that I'm going to add angle down arrow, which is fa angle down, fa hyphen angle hyphen down, and we got this arrow down on home section. Okay, I will go ahead and I'll save my index.html file. And we are done with writing HTML markup for home section. So we just finished writing HTML markup for home section, and let me add a comment for home ends. I'll save it again. So we have this home section. Okay, in next lecture we will apply style to this home content. I'll see you next class. Thanks.